Hello, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today I'm going to cover Lawbreakers. This is going to be not a review, this is going to be first impressions based off of around 15 hours of gameplay spanning various alphas, private sessions, and now the closed beta. Currently, Lawbreakers does feel done for the most part, but just know anything you see here is subject to change and may not represent the final product. Now before we get started, I do have a handful of extra beta keys. Just drop a comment down below and I'll choose some random winners and contact them directly.
Three, two.
So if you're unaware, Lawbreakers is a team-based arena shooter. It's basically Overwatch with an anti-gravity field mechanic. The term Law represents the good guys and Breakers, the bad dudes. This game currently has 8 playable characters with a Law and Breaker version of each one. They look different, but they play exactly the same. Players will join a team of 5 in various game modes on offer. Currently, they've got a variant on CTF with a focus of defending once you've scored a point, a domination style mode, and a blitzball mode where you score points when you bring the ball back to your goal. Now obviously, there's nothing new about these modes, they're just derivatives of other modes we've seen in Overwatch and countless other games, but I think they're pretty fun given the anti-gravity field mechanic. You can find the anti-gravity field portion usually in the center of the map, although not always. Sometimes it's turned on and sometimes it can get switched off. When it's on, you're basically on the moon, floating and slowed down, so you're an easy target for bullets, but objectives are usually located in or around these areas. This mechanic is pretty much what sets it apart from Overwatch. I have to say it's a great mechanic right off the bat because it brings a certain amount of player choice into the equation. Anyone playing Kasuni understands what I'm talking about. She's a melee-based character who also has access to a plasma gun, so you kind of have to decide if you want to go into the anti-gravity field with your swords, or maybe not risk it, go around for a flank, or just bust out your gun and try to sharpshoot the hell out of your enemies. And the same goes for player choice as well through your abilities. Wraith, for instance, has an ability that allows him to shoot an explosive at his enemies or terrain and then shoot it again to detonate it. It's pretty hard to use this without terrain, so players may want to save that cooldown from when they're out of the anti-gravity field. So it's that choice that I really like in Lawbreakers. And that's brought on by the anti-gravity field. Will everybody like it? Of course not, but I think because it's only part of the experience, people are going to embrace it as an integral part of the game, so kudos for this game for introducing such a cool concept for a traditional arena-based shooter. The first thing Lawbreakers gets right is the most important thing, the gameplay. It's fast, it's certainly fun, it's fluid, and I have to admit, it has one of the best hit-to-death ratios I've ever seen in a first-person shooter. You don't die horribly fast in Lawbreakers, but you're not a bullet sponge either. It's got this perfect middle ground. It just seems that the right amount of thought was put into balancing how long it takes for you to die, and I have to assume this is due to a few ancillary mechanics built around the combat in Lawbreakers. For one, every character has some sort of movement-based ability tied to the shift key. Kasuni can tether and pull herself around the map, Wraith can slide, the gunslinger can warp, and other characters can charge, run, or dash around the map too. All of these movement options make it harder for enemies to hit you than, let's say, a Call of Duty game. And I think this goes a long way to kind of make players feel like they can take more damage when in fact they're just kind of dodging it. And it's good because it incentivizes that movement that's built into the game. I also like how the game includes both health pickups that recharge over time and permanent healing stations. I love these stations because it incentivizes another choice on top of the gameplay experience. Do you try to heal and take the chance of dying? Do you run for health pickups, or do you head to your nearest medic? Smart players are going to be able to utilize the health stations by kind of ducking in and out of combat, ambushing enemies like I'm doing here with Wraith, by using this wall as my cover. So again, managing health with these tools adds just more choice and helps raise the actual skill ceiling. Now the gunplay, it's fucking awesome. It takes the best parts of those old arena shooters, the low recoil spamminess, and mixes it well with the ability-based system of, let's say, an Overwatch. I really love the way each of the characters feels. They've done a good job here. Each character has a weapon with an alt-fire mode, so that in itself gives you more options than Overwatch already in terms of primary gun gameplay. Then you've got your abilities on the E and Shift keys, melee with F, and of course, ultimates on Q. There's really not much to say about it. It feels very much like Overwatch, and of course you'll take some time to learn the characters and get versed with them and how all the abilities work if you're doing your due diligence. Lawbreakers does a good job of then creating symmetry with those abilities. For instance, Kasuni can use her tether ability to grab an enemy, pull herself within melee range, then use another ability to push him back against the wall where she can link her ultimates for an insta-kill. Characters like Wraith can do this slide into right-click, knife, stabby ultimate finisher. I love that move. These are just great moments and they really definitely get your blood pumping. Really fun when you can pull this kind of stuff off.
Battery is 75% charged.
Other characters like Gunslinger have more subtle mechanics. For instance, his primary weapon is a semi-automatic pistol that gives you a faster fire rate if you click the mouse button instead of holding it down, so you've got this accuracy versus increased fire rate choice. Depending on the environment, either option could work, so once again, another element of player choice. So in short, Lawbreakers has got the gunplay and the gameplay down, and it's got those wow moments that we all crave in a first-person, skill-based shooter. Now we gotta talk about the bad stuff too. I think the main problem I have with Lawbreakers starts with the small generic levels and the unlikable characters. There are few friendly faces in Lawbreakers. Most of them have this very gruff, I'm a badass look on their faces. And once you're in a match, they spit out very lame one-liners. It's really annoying and you'll be praying for them to shut the hell up. Now the levels, I can't say that they're anything special either. For the most part, they're these very small, very small maps combining tight corridors, a few offshoot rooms with health pickups and health stations, a high ceiling anti-gravity room, and tiny spawn areas. That's pretty much rinse and repeat every single level right now in Lawbreakers. I'm hoping they add a lot more and a lot bigger and more diverse levels in the future. Just wasn't a fan. Now while the gameplay is fantastic, you might notice that the base movement speed is quite slow, although it's made up for by the shift key, which is your movement abilities. But sometimes you'll be spamming those abilities just to get in combat because the run speed's so slow, and then you'll realize, oh crap, I don't have that cooldown anymore, and you might die. I think it's really important because there are so many movement-based abilities in Lawbreakers, so keeping up with all the action when the actual base movement speed is kind of slow is, for me, a problem. Now let's go ahead and talk about the performance and the graphics. Everything you're seeing here is cranked up to the absolute max. Lawbreakers is not that good looking of a game. I hate to say it, it just looks kinda meh. Textures are okay, lighting is okay, everything is just okay. That's just kind of the best way I could describe it. But the problem for me in terms of the fidelity was, and the annoying part, is that there is so much going on the screen itself in terms of outside effects brought into the game. There is so much blur, there are so many floating particles, so much distortion from the abilities, everything just blows up everywhere. Even when you cap a point, there's this huge, electric explosion that just blasts your screen. It's really weird. I think they went a little bit overboard with all of it. It doesn't look very clean, doesn't look very modern, and just not a very slick looking game. However, with that said, the performance is great. I only noticed a few times where the frame rate had suffered or stuttered at all, and I'm sure that will be addressed before its release. Now lastly, for the problems I had with this game, Lawbreakers goes out of its way to make you feel like crap when you're losing or when you've lost the game. When you get meleeed to death, this is the first point, it plasters the enemy decal on your screen and you hear the taunt of the enemy who killed you. And then, when you lose the match, the game literally taunts you itself with this tongues out, smiley face, cross eyes thing. I know it seems very silly to complain about it, but when you lose in a competitive game and you're really in the moment, people want to feel good about playing the game, win or lose. Rubbing it in our faces like this is going to make a lot of people feel like crap and want to turn the game off, or in a lot of cases, just rage in the post chat, which I've seen plenty of already, unfortunately. Okay, so what's the TLDR with Lawbreakers? I think it's a fun game, but I don't think it's going to win over anybody who already doesn't enjoy this subgenre. The gameplay is already there, it's finished, and it's amazing, but the success of the game will be defined on how well it can keep players engaged with the content and the progression, and how well they integrate proper balance into their ranked modes. But we're talking about a game here that is coming into a subgenre that people have already saturated the hell out of with Overwatch, right? We've been playing Overwatch for years now, and it has grown very tiring, at least for me, to kind of keep going back into Overwatch. And when I go into Lawbreakers, although the setting and the characters and the weapons are all different, and there's that anti-gravity field mechanic, it's the same game. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It does have a few things here and there that differentiate it from Overwatch, but on a base level, this game is Overwatch through and through. So is Lawbreakers going to be the next big first-person shooter? I don't think so, but I'm sure it will be some good, casual fun. If you enjoyed Overwatch and you're looking for the next Overwatch game and you're pretty much tired of it, go for Lawbreakers. It's probably going to be coming out sooner than later this year, and it's going to be at a price point of under $60. They have quoted it will not be a $60 game, nor will it be free to play, so it's going to be somewhere in a range of 1 cent to $59.99. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, by all means hit the thumbs up button for me and subscribe here for more of our future content. You guys have a super duper awesome day, and we'll see you guys in our next video.